Hi, and thanks for joining me today for another Facebook Live. I'm Dr. Alexis Conason. I am a clinical psychologist. I practice here in New York City, and I'm also the founder of the Anti-Diet Plan. And the Anti-Diet Plan is a program that I've developed to help people get off the diet, overeating, self-hatred roller coaster, and start eating in ways that are really more attuned with our body, in ways that feel peaceful and pleasurable and joyful. You know, I really believe that when we can stop dieting, we can really free up the mental energy and psychological real estate to get on with our lives and do so many more amazing things than just worrying about changing our body to meet these unrealistic ideals that we have pushed upon us. So if you're interested in learning more about the Anti-Diet Plan, you can sign up for my free 30-day program. It's available on my website, drconason.com. I will post the link in the comments section here. Or you can, if you're watching this on Facebook, just check out the banner. I have a brand new banner that my awesome designer has just made for me to showcase the Anti-Diet Plan free course. So you can just, it says easy as the click of a button. Don't you love technology, right? So anyways, I want to move on to our topic for today, which is 5 tips to end your summer on a body positive note. So here we are, it's mid-August already. I cannot believe how quickly the summer has gone by. I don't know if anyone else is with me on that feeling. It feels like the summer has just flown by. I've spent so much time immersed in creating this brand new course for you guys that's going to be hopefully launching in September. That's my goal. I'm putting it out there so you guys can all hold me accountable. It's really it's been a wonderful summer. It's been super hot here in the East Coast, and that means there's been a lot of opportunities to try to cool off in the pool, at the beach, and so many of us struggle with the summertime because it's really a time, you know, in which we're wearing less clothing if we, you know, feel comfortable doing that to try to stay cool. It's like in the 90s here today in New York, and believe it or not, that's a cool day for us with the heat spell we've been having. And you know, if we don't feel comfortable wearing less clothes to try to stay cool, then many of us suffer wearing, you know, layers of clothing and, you know, continuing to hide our bodies under a lot of clothes in this really oppressive heat. So summer can be a difficult time for many of us, and even though we're hearing a lot already about like back to school, and I'm seeing the Halloween costumes pop up in the stores, I still think we still have a few more weeks to really enjoy summer. And I'm recommending that we enjoy summer and try to get as much joy and pleasure with our bodies as we possibly can in the remaining week. So if you know me, you know I'm all about mindfulness, trying to stay present, although even I will acknowledge I'm kind of excited for fall, much more of a cool weather kind of gal. I want to talk today about how we can make the most out of the few weeks that we have remaining. And if you haven't checked out my most recent blog post, it's on the same topic. So I have my 5 tips written out there. You can find that also at my website, drconason.com. And if you're on my email list, you would have gotten that delivered directly to your email box. So can't get more convenient than that. So let's jump into it. Okay, my number 1 tip for enjoying the end of your summer on a body positive note is to get yourself into a bathing suit. Now, I know that's not for everyone, and I'm going to talk more about that in my second tip, but if you feel comfortable and you haven't done it yet, I really encourage you to get out there, to put on your, find a swimsuit that you feel comfortable in. Like, no sense in trying to squeeze yourself into last summer's swimwear that like doesn't fit you right, that you don't feel good in, find something, really make it a priority to try to find a suit that you feel great in, or at least that you don't hate yourself in. I know we're all working with different levels of body image dissatisfaction and body shame. So even just finding something that feels bearable to present yourself, you know, at the beach or at the pool, I think is really important. You're worth the investment, and there's some great sales going on right now, end of summer, to get some really awesome swimwear. There are so many great options this summer. I don't personally wear plus size, but I'm seeing more plus size options and going into even the larger plus categories than I have ever before in other summers. There's some really cute things that I have some resources that I have listed in the blog post, including the collaboration with Swimsuits for All and Chromat, that are just like releasing some super cute options out there. So if you haven't done it yet, get yourself a swimsuit that you feel hopefully awesome in. If you can't find a swimsuit that you feel awesome in, find something that feels bearable and tolerable, and get yourself out there and enjoy the pool, the beach. If you can prioritize, you know, creating some time for yourself to really just enjoy these last hot days of summer and to cool off and be comfortable. So that's tip number one. Tip number two is to try to infuse these last weeks of summer, and this is a tip that I think goes for every day of the year, whether it's summer, winter, fall, spring. I think there's a song about that. If you can fill your life with self-compassion. So I know I've said this before, but for those of you who haven't maybe seen all of my archive of videos, self-compassion is the most important, most powerful thing that we can do to try to change our relationship with food and to change our relationship with our body. And self-compassion is especially important when we're going through a time like summer, which, like I said, it can be difficult for people. So maybe you don't get the swimsuit. You can't quite get yourself there because you go to the store and you just feel really lousy in every suit that you put on. Or there's just, you know, for yourself, like there's no way you're gonna put on the swimsuit this season. That's totally fine too. And it does not mean that you failed at body positivity. Try to approach yourself with self-compassion and just recognize that this is a really difficult experience. And if you're invited to a pool party and you don't want to wear a swimsuit, or you're going to the beach and you don't feel comfortable wearing a bathing suit, it's totally fine to wear whatever it is that you're comfortable in, whether that's a cover-up, shorts and a t-shirt, pants. It really doesn't matter. It's about you being as comfortable as you can and treating yourself with as much kindness and compassion as you possibly can. I always say, like, we just can never go wrong when we come back to approaching ourselves with a stance of self-compassion. I think that never leads us in the wrong direction. So self-compassion, 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 I can't say it enough. Wherever you are in terms of your body image journey this summer, try to approach yourself with kindness and compassion. So that's tip number two. Tip number three is to think about some comebacks. If somebody says some nasty comment or even a positive comment about your body, I mean, I really am a big believer that our bodies are nobody else's business. And it's just like way too common for people, whether it's friends, family members, or like strangers on the street, to think it's okay to make comments about our body. And it's not just like, I'm not just talking about fat shaming comments or comments that might be critical of your body or objectifying, although I kind of think that most comments that are about our body end up being objectifying because they're defining our value by what we look like, which is, isn't that kind of the definition of objectification? But even when someone says like, oh, you look great, you lost weight, all of these kinds of comments are really problematic. So it can feel very vulnerable to be out there, whether you're on the streets or you are on the beach or at the pool, wearing less clothing, trying our best to muster up the courage to be comfortable in our body and to work against our societal messaging that tells us that our bodies aren't good enough, and that if our body doesn't look one very specific way, like how dare us wear a bikini or show our bodies out on the beach. Like, that takes a lot of bravery. And when someone says something, comments on our body, it can really shake us. So for some of us, we might want to think about comments that we can say, things we can kind of, retorts that we can give, comebacks, for if someone does comment on your body. And it can be anything from just saying, I really don't need your opinion on my body. Thank you very much. Changing the topic. And then, of course, remembering that, like, we're under no obligation or responsibility to say anything at all. If we're just like having one of those days, and I think we've all had them, I've certainly had them, where we don't feel like engaging in a conversation about why talking about other people's bodies is not okay, we can simply just leave the conversation. Like, that is completely okay and acceptable as well. But thinking about, having some things, comments at the ready can be useful. And obviously, depending on who it is, like a stranger on the street versus a friend or a family member, we might respond differently. I think that if it's a friend or family member, especially someone that we really care about and we're working on our recovery from entrenched body shame, it might be worthwhile to really take a moment to explain how damaging these kinds of comments are, not just to ourselves, but to everyone who, people make these kinds of comments about. But again, we're under no obligation to do so, so we can also just walk away. That's a great option as well. Number 4. So my number 4 tip on how to end our summer, the last few weeks of summer, on a body positive note is to pick up one of the awesome body positive beach reads that are out there this summer. I wrote a whole blog post on this a few months ago, maybe a few weeks ago, with I think it was like my 5 favorite body positive beach reads. And like, I am convinced this is the summer of body positivity. There are more books. Like, I feel like the publishing industry has finally realized, like, we don't want to hear and read about thin characters who are not feeling good about themselves, or fat characters whose happily ever after only ends when they lose weight. Like, we're tired of that narrative. We don't want to read about that anymore. We don't want to hear that anymore. We want to hear about real people who have similar struggles that we struggle with, and who find that the answer is not weight loss, because, like, we're regular people and the answer is not weight loss. So, like, I don't want to read a book where the answer is weight loss, because that's just, like, not very entertaining. It's the same narrative we're given all day, every day, and it's not what I want to read about in my downtime, just to be quite frank and honest with you guys. So there are some amazing books out there. I read at the beginning of the summer 2 books that were young adult books, which is not usually the genre that I read, but these are 2 books that I really highly recommend. And especially if you have a teen in your life, you can share them. Like, I enjoyed them 100%. I think they are perfectly suited for adults who are young at heart, I'll say. But this was Carolyn Mackler's 2 young adult novels. The most recent one is called The Universe is Expanding and So Am I. And it's a story about a young woman who is just struggling to get through her teen years in a larger body, in a family that doesn't accept her larger body. And it also brings in rape culture and how you know, she deals with the trauma in her family. So there's a lot in there. I thought it was a really excellent read, but it's like a fun read too. It's the kind of book that you really like, just want to keep going. And there's two of them, two in the series. I'm also super excited that Virgie Tovar's new book, You Have the Right to Remain Fat, is coming out. If it's not out already, I think it's coming out like this week or something. I already have it on pre-order for Amazon, so I'm just like checking my mailbox, waiting for that puppy to arrive. And I, you know, just love everything that Virgie says and does. It's pretty rare. I try not to speak in all or none, but she really is one of my favorite people out there. So if you have a chance to pick up Virgie's new book, You Have the Right to Remain Fat, I haven't read it yet, but like, I am sure it's going to be amazing. Some of the other books that I had on my list were The Body's Not an Apology by Sonia Renee Taylor. That's not a new book that's come out, but she has come out this summer with a teen book about puberty and our bodies, which I think is like so wonderful to have a body positive resource for girls going through changes in their body. And another book that's not on my list, but it's an older book, but I have just heard they're turning it into a TV show. So I'm super excited about this, is Lindy West's book, Shrill. So I actually haven't read that one yet, but I am also a big fan of Lindy West. I am sure, like, I'm 100% positive that the book is amazing. I've heard amazing things about it from all of my colleagues and everyone who's read it. She had a great interview on NPR a few years ago about the book that is definitely worth checking out. And I'm like, just gonna have to read it before the show comes out, because I'm super excited that there's another body positive TV show that's coming out. By the way, if you haven't heard me talk about Dietland yet, it's awesome. That's another great book to check out for your summer reading. We have Labor Day coming up. I know a lot of people are taking some time off, and hopefully you'll be on the beach in your bathing suit, feeling good enough, feeling, you know, good enough about your body, enjoying the sun, the sand, the pool, the park, your air conditioner, wherever you are, but enjoying one of these fun body positive beach reads. And the final tip is to remember that your body is not the problem. Our culture is. And this is something that I could say all day long. We have become so convinced that the answer to fighting fat phobia is to shrink our bodies. That is not true. The answer to fighting fat phobia and the answer to a world where certain bodies are marginalized and not accepted and made to feel less than, and is a world where everybody is made to feel less than, because the ideals are so narrow and so unrealistic that even people who meet those ideals don't feel good enough about their bodies. So, you know, the epidemic of body hatred is here. It is like 91% of women feel dissatisfied with their bodies. That research study showed that the other 9% are like hanging on by a thread. Like, they feel pretty lousy about themselves, just, you know, about other things about their appearance, not their body. So we, you know, when things are that pervasive, it really means the problem is not with us, the problem is our culture. So let's stop thinking about how to change our bodies into what our culture tells us they're supposed to be, and let's start thinking about how to change our culture so that all bodies are valued and accepted and respected. And that is my hope for the end of summer and going onwards, is that we can all start with ourselves and feeling good enough in ourselves, and from there, you know, bring that outward into the world to create a culture where fat phobia doesn't run rampant anymore, where little girls aren't terrified of being fat, and where we can all just peacefully exist in our own bodies and care for ourselves in the best ways possible, with self-compassion and love for ourselves and for each other. So That's it for today. I want to thank everybody so much for joining me. Again, if you're interested in learning more about the Anti-Diet Plan program, you can check out my website, www.drconason.com. I will post the link here directly to the free 30-day course that you can sign up. And if you sign up for that course, or if you sign up for the newsletter, which you can also do so on my website, you will get exclusive access to the all the info about the launch of my course. So this is going to be big, because I've literally spent like my entire summer working on this program, and I'm just so excited about it. I'm taking what I've learned over almost the 10 years that I've been running the my mindful eating group in person, live here in my office in New York City, and I'm bringing it to the online community because I think it's so important that these messages about helping people, especially women, get out of diet culture and get into our bodies and start living our lives with fullness and satisfaction and more happiness, is really, going to be transformational to changing our culture. It's not just a course. I really do think of this as a movement. I'm not alone here. There's lots of amazing activists doing this work in the fat acceptance movement, in the body positivity movement, in the health at every size movements, in the intuitive eating movements. We're all joining together and just trying to spread this message as far and wide as we can so that we can really create a meaningful change in our culture. I mean, if you look around the world right now, we need it. We need a change. And that change, I really believe, starts with changing our relationship with ourselves. And for many of us, we're so stuck in feeling preoccupied with our relationship with food and not feeling good enough about our body that's all that we can see. So I think we need to really work to resolve our issues around food and body image and change our relationship with ourselves and work together to change the culture so that we are not raising another generation of women who don't feel good enough about ourselves. So anyway, I'm hoping that my course will be a tiny, contribution to helping us make that societal change. And the course will be available. I'm going to be doing a soft launch, hopefully this fall, exclusively to my email list and my followers on social media. There's going to be some really big bonuses. I'm keeping it a surprise for now, but trust me, like if you sign up for this first kind of soft launch, you're going to be getting so much value. I'm going to be launching it again probably in January. The price is going to go up a lot. The bonuses are not going to be nearly as awesome as they are right now, but I want to just, have this first launch be an opportunity for my people, the people who have been loyal and following me and, interested in what I have to say and really dedicated to this journey of healing our relationship with food and body image to get some special treatment. So if you want to be one of the first to know about when the course launches and what those exclusive bonuses are that are going to be limited to a certain number of people who join, because I'll give you a preview. It is going to involve some live contact with me. Then be sure to sign up for my newsletter and the free course. So I hope you all do that, and I will look forward to seeing you next week for Facebook Live. Thanks so much.